Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we're going to look at some variations, some natural variations in the Copperhead. And of course, natural variations are important to know, important to recognize, and will be another tool in your identification toolbox. So we'll take a look at some Copperheads from various parts of their range in the United States. We'll start off with a familiar one. This is what you might call the typical Eastern Copperhead. At one time it was called the Northern Copperhead. We're not going to really discuss too much taxonomy today, but we'll go over a few basics. So in the Eastern United States, the Northeastern United States, the typical Copperhead looks like this, with those unique markings, the darker markings down the side of the snake, that some people like to refer to as the Hershey's Kiss markings. So this one, I believe, from Pennsylvania. And by the way, all the photos that I show in my videos are from Facebook and also iNaturalist. And then once in a while, I'll search the internet and find photos. All these photos are public on Facebook, public on iNaturalist. I'm not stealing anybody's photos. And this juvenile Copperhead from Maryland has the same pattern as the adults. They're born pretty much looking exactly like the adults, except for, of course, the yellow tip on the tail, which we covered in another video. Go check out that video on the channel. When people refer to the Hershey Kiss markings, those are usually viewed laterally from the side. When you're looking down on top of the snake, the pattern can sometimes be broken up, as you can see here on the end of this specimen. The markings don't quite align along the spine, so they're broken up. And sometimes this confuses people when they say, oh, well, I thought I had Hershey Kiss markings. You're looking at a different angle of the snake. That's all. And here's a Copperhead that I photographed in Connecticut. So a New England specimen. And here's a trio of Copperheads from Virginia. And one of them has an aberrant pattern. A bit unusual striped pattern. Not too unusual. This aberrancy tends to show up frequently in Copperheads. And as we move into the southeastern United States, we start to see what's commonly referred to as the southern Copperhead, or the southern form of the same species that we're talking about here today. The first species we're talking about is Agkistrodon contortrix, one which is currently referred to as the Eastern Copperhead, with several different forms, if you will. So as we get into the southeastern states, this one from South Carolina, the snakes can have a pale tan background color. Very attractive snake in my opinion. And here's a Copperhead from North Carolina. Again, similar to the northeastern, but they can get very pale in the southeastern United States. Now this one is also from North Carolina, but farther west into the state, in the Piedmont, in the mountainous regions. The Copperheads can be a little bit darker, and they can also have more spots in the pattern. And these can actually confuse people, and we'll take a look at some more of these kind of Piedmont mountainous forms of the Eastern Copperhead. Now here's a Copperhead from Kentucky, and this is what I was referring to. You can see all the spots in the pattern here on this guy, and more of a darker color scheme, and some of them can even be gray, and I'll show you one of those. But these spots, for whatever reason, tend to throw people off, to confuse people, and a lot of people will just assume that this must be a cottonmouth because it has spots. So this is what I'm talking about when I stress knowing regional variation. If you know about these regional variants, especially these mountainous copperheads, Piedmont copperheads, they have these spots. Cottonmouths are not the only ones that have the spots, folks. Not every copperhead will have the spots, but many of them do. Again, regional variation. And here's another example out of Kentucky. That's a very unique looking copperhead, this pair here. And you can really see where they get that name. The head is very copper colored, contrasting with the rest of the body. Well, check out the spots, the double spots inside the light areas. Very nice looking pair of copperheads from Kentucky. And another specimen from Kentucky, and look how dark this one is. A lot of people, again, are thrown off by how dark some of these copperheads can get, and they start coming up with all kinds of crazy IDs. It's a copperhead cottonmouth hybrid. It's, nope, it's just a naturally occurring variation. And here's another example from Tennessee. Darker coloration with the spots. And here's one more specimen from Tennessee. Again, plenty of spots on this one. So now you know, from watching this video, you know about these natural variations. This is not a cottonmouth. This is not a cottonmouth copperhead hybrid. This is just a normal eastern copperhead. Now moving west, this is a nice looking specimen from Mississippi. Would be considered that southern copperhead, that southern variant. Nice clean markings. And another one from Mississippi, a nice looking specimen, very light colored. Again with the cleaner markings. Something I didn't mention earlier was the markings on a lot of the mountainous Piedmont specimens that we saw from Tennessee and Kentucky. Their markings tend to be more jagged. That's another reason why people mistake them for cottonmouths. But here in Mississippi, nice clean markings on this one. And here's an eastern copperhead from central Arkansas. Again, we're starting to get in a different region of the United States here, but the copperhead still maintains that typical eastern copperhead look to it. And again, no spots on this one. Another Arkansas specimen. This one has some broken banding, which again is a typical trait. It's a common trait in many regions to have this broken pattern. Here's another nice looking specimen from Missouri, keeping with the typical eastern copperhead look. This specimen from southeastern Oklahoma is an eastern copperhead, but now we're starting to hit the area where they meet up with the other copperhead species, the broad-banded copperhead, which we'll talk about in a moment. But this is an eastern copperhead from the very western edge of the range in Oklahoma. And the same applies in eastern Texas. Again, the eastern copperhead is native to eastern Texas, and then as we move into central Texas, we will see the broad-banded copperhead. Coming up next, we'll discuss the broad-banded copperhead. The broad-banded copperhead, Echistrodon leticinctus, is now considered its own species, found in portions of central Oklahoma, central Texas, into some areas of southern Texas, and in southwestern Texas as well. And you can see how they were named when you compare them to the eastern copperhead. Those bands are very broad. but a very beautiful snake nonetheless. This is the broad-banded copperhead from Texas. And here's another specimen from Texas, the broad-banded copperhead. Very rich, deep, mahogany brown. And here's a lighter colored broad-banded copperhead, also from Texas. And another beautiful Texas broad-banded copperhead. Look at the rich colors on this guy. And it's also a juvenile. You can see the yellow tail on the left there. And here's a broad-banded copperhead from Oklahoma. Again, very attractive looking snake. Kind of on the lighter side as compared to the previous snake from Texas. And I'll leave you today with this really good looking broad-banded copperhead from Texas. Clean markings, kind of that chestnut brown on a very light tan background. Very nice looking snake, and we can see in this photo the pits right in between the eye there and the nostril on the face of this copperhead. Of course, those are the heat sensing organs that allow these snakes to detect a thermal gradient in their warm-blooded prey, rodents mostly. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. That's my goal in each and every video. Subscribe to the channel, share my videos, spread the education. If you have any additional questions, please ask them down in the comments below, or join us in Wild Snakes Education and Discussion on Facebook. And I'm trying to get people also to join me on Telegram, and those links will be down in the description of the video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.